The final lens in the trio that came in this little box set is this 50mm f1.2 from TTArtisan. Now, when I reviewed it for the Fujifilm X-Mount, this turned out, if I remember rightly, to be the most popular, which was very interesting. So let's see how it fares on the Micro Four Thirds system. Right then, let's see what's what. Warranty card as usual, spec sheet as usual, business as usual. That's good to see. Except, as you know by now, there's definitely not business for usual in here because we're dealing with the titanium special edition. Probably why I'm talking so quiet. Right, flip that round. Isn't that a fun looking thing? F12 to 16. I do like these notches here for adjusting. That makes that easy. That's a lot more practical. That's better dampening on the manual focusing. So from just off 0.5, so under 50 centimeters closest to spot on the infinity there. That's absolutely cool. It's a shame that's black now, isn't it, I suppose? It's a standard thing, standard nice metal mount. We'll see how that fits, how that feels. This well familiar, very protective, less practical screw cap. I think we've made it. And there it is, look at that. No copyrights were infringed upon here, honest. 51.2, 52mm filter thread there. Definitely harking back to the good old days. 100mm full frame equivalent on our Micro Four Thirds sensors. Angle of view 32 degrees. Now, as you'll see, no diagram on this one. Well, no room for it. Doesn't go with the design. There's a couple of adjustment points there. But we've got 10 diaphragm blades, 7 elements in 5 groups. Dinky little thing, isn't it? Only weighs 336 grams. The Fujifilm one really did pique some interest when I thought the 17mm would have more so. But yeah, let's see how we get on with this. It's a different ball game, what with it being on the Micro Four Thirds sensor. So yeah, let's see how we get on anyway before I start waffling into oblivion. Wide open, there's more halo in certain scenes than I'd like. The rendering can be a bit awkward. As this is a pretty old and simple formula, it's certainly producing more vintage character than I'd hoped for. That's not to say that you can't get a decent image out of it wide open. Just be aware that the lens is very prone to, let's say, flaws, especially given the crop factor of the Micro Four Thirds sensor that we're working with. You could just go straight to f1.4, click along to f2, and the image is noticeably less tricky to work with. The best IQ is around 5, 6, 8 though, and you'll want to avoid going higher than f11 to avoid diffraction. Now, for what it's worth, here's a quick clip where we stop down the aperture with each frame without changing any other variable. sharpness, wide open is acceptable, and it's not impossible to get a sharp enough image. But you know, it's a totally different appeal when it's stopped down. Vignetting is present wide open, but again, stopped down and it soon goes away. It's not a lens for pixel peepers, but you might enjoy its flaws and all. Now, depending on what you're shooting, you don't always need the sharpest lens, so you know, your mileage may vary. Flaring and distortion is pretty well controlled, and it's not forgiving, but it's fairly good. Shooting close up is quite enjoyable, as long as you don't go hunting for problems and your light is decent, of course. Now, as a run around the street lens, it's definitely got appeal at the cheap end of the market. But let's just touch on the bokeh, and I want you to comment more on that than I will, but you know, it really does depend on your personal preference, and yeah, for me, it's just not the best. Anyway, let's go back to the streets and throw in some close-ups as well for good measure. I mean, let the unedited images do more talking on this one than I really should. $119 for the black version on Amazon. At the time of recording, I'm kind of on the fence. If you're happy with the flaws, go for it. It is well built, it's easy to carry around, and it handles pretty well. It's not hard to get a semi-decent image with it, and as long as you're not a pixel peeper, yeah, you could have good fun with it. As it is, it's not my favorite in the trio. That goes to the 35mm that I feel performs much better than the 17 and the 50 put together, but that's my personal choice. What about you? Have you tried the trio yet? Now, if you can get hold of the titanium trio, it's great value and might be a worthy cheap starter kit for a newbie to the system. But as always, let us know in the comments below if you've tried the lens, and I'll see you very soon.